My name is Jenny. This is Reality TV Breakdown, and we are talking The Traitors. Today we're discussing the reunion of the show. Let's talk about it. Okay, so I watched the reunion right after the finale, and I wasn't happy with how the finale ended. So I wasn't in a great mood when I was watching the reunion, and it was really late at night. I had a lot going on. I'm sorry, this is getting posted late. My son is home from college. Some things happened this week that were emotionally trying, not related to him, but it just made everything get pushed back further and further. So I'm sorry, these are coming out a little bit late. Better late than never, right? So I don't have copious notes on it, but we're still going to talk about it. We'll see how long it goes. I found it interesting that it starts off with Andy Cohen, by the way, is the one doing the hosting. And he introduces everybody and they all say hi and a couple little comments here back and forth, nothing significant. And then he has them all watch the finale live. Now, we don't see them watching the finale live. It kind of cuts away and then comes back. But the last four people are not there on the set because they don't know who won the game. So they find out and then they say hello to everybody and everyone seems happy and welcoming, etc., etc. It appears from the little bit of comments going back and forth in that everybody who's on a game, they call themselves the gamers, everyone on a competition shows are very happy that the last two people, CT and Trishelle, were both gamers and on competition shows, that it wasn't a reality Bravo housewife, which bugged me enough that I hope they have the same kind of breakdown next time and somehow all the Bravo talent takes out every gamer.
Bitter.
Larsa comments that she understood that gamers would win because they're so focused on winning, whereas the Bravo celebrities are there because they just want to be on TV. First of all, I think some of those gamers just want to be on TV too. Trishelle. Secondly, you have to believe that in your heart and soul, in the core of you, to say it out loud, as opposed to saying, we're just Bravo celebrities. We just are faithful and loyal to each other, and we were there to have a good time. She did mention they were there to have a good time, too. I think she said, we're just there to have a good time and to get onto TV. Gosh, I hate her as much as Trishelle. I don't know why. It just really bothers me when you see women in their 40s and above who have the maturity level of less than my kids who are in their early 20s. I'm a little bitter. I didn't like how the finale ended. Can you tell? I'm so sorry. I'm going to try not to make this a really nasty, angry. But I might just say a whole bunch of horrible things about people and just give me grace right now. It is what it is. I'll call out everybody that I'm upset with, and I'm probably not going to say much nice things about anybody because I didn't bother to write it down.
That's true.
You can click out right now if you want to.
You have my full permission.
All right, let's see. Oh, I have comments here. Trishelle tops all of her ugly outfits by what she shows up as, and she dresses like Katniss Everdeen. I should find a photo. I think I might just take the time to find a photo to say, like, she dresses in costume every single day. She dressed in the worst, most ridiculous costume from a fantasy drama book turned to movie series. They're all at the Capitol where they all dress outrageously in a sci-fi movie. And yet, that's exactly how Trishelle chose. Out of all the dresses and outfits out there in the world, this is what she chose to put on.
All right. CT and Trishelle, congratulations on your big win.
We're gonna need a bigger couch.
At this point in the interview, Andy points out that when Trishelle and CT won, it looked like it was a rom-com. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you? Yeah. It was like music playing in the background and the two of them running up and hugging and throwing her on the gold coins. Awkward. The whole thing was awkward and comfortable to watch. And I just kind of dismissed it because I thought, well, maybe they do have some sort of relationship going on. But I didn't know she was married. So now it's really awkward.
Thing, huh? By the way, at the end, it kind of almost seemed like a rom-com, too. I felt I felt something there between you.
I cried. Whenever I saw
CT is just smiling and is excited about it and looking at her, and she just kind of dismisses it and says, no. Just sort of blows off Andy in that comment. Andy asks MJ how she feels, and she goes, bamboozled. She's not happy.
Ooh, hi, MJ.
Hi, Cutie Pie.
How are you feeling watching that again, reliving it?
Bamboozled, like grifter energy.
She's not happy at all. Oh my, no, not happy. I just wrote here, she's still so very angry. She really is. I mean, it's the most fresh for her. It makes sense. There is a point, and I don't know if I wrote it down here, but there is a point that they're talking to Johnny Bananas, who's the first one off. And Andy was asking Dan about it. And Dan said, listen, he's a threat. He's won so many of these competition games. He knows a lot of people here. He knows CT very well. There's a camaraderie. It just made sense to get rid of him. He was a threat. And Andy asked Johnny if he thought that, does it make the sting go away a little bit because of his rationale? And Johnny's like, no, get over yourself. Gosh, he was barely there. I think he's upset. I think they get paid per episode, and he's also somebody who loves to be on TV. And for both those reasons, he's really not happy he was voted out first. I would love it if he goes on another competition show if he gets voted out first. It would be so awesome if that became like the new trend. I'd love it. Love it. All right. I knew I could smile. I knew I could bring myself to get a little happy. Oh, goodness. Where are we? At this point, I had written down that CT is complimenting all the non-gamers in the game and how well they did and how they hung with the gamers throughout it. And he pointed out MJ specifically, making it to the end with the three of them, and says how impressive her gameplay was. And she said, then you should have finished the game the right way. She's angry. She might be a little too angry. But she obviously, it's just so clear that she saw the end game being just get all the traitors out and then we share the money. And CT saw the end game, as did Trishelle. Get as much money as you can, and if it's the two of us at the end, we'll share. They point out at one point that Ekin-Su is recently single, and she's sitting next to Peter. And Andy points out that Peter's mother recently posted a picture out to dinner with Ekin-Su. So there's something going on with them there. Peter's mother, I am 99% sure, correct me if I'm wrong, but Peter's mother is the absolutely crazy lady when it was down to the final two, and the mom really liked this one girl who didn't seem to be a girl of much content and character, and then there was another girl who was really wholesome and sweet and nice who he liked a lot, but I believe that girl didn't want to sleep with him until there was a one-on-one commitment. That's just her morals and values. And she's like, it's not necessarily mean I'm going to wait until marriage, but it does mean I'm not going to be sleeping with a guy who's dating another girl. And in the end, the mom just liked the really bubbly, crazy, wild one. And as it turned out, the sweet, nice one found out that Peter went ahead and slept with the other one on overnights right before the final two. Kind of the worst time. I mean, I guess it's the only opportunity to do it. I guess this is what makes him a pig. I knew I didn't like him. It's coming back to me, his season. Really ended it very poorly. So the mother was crying so much because she was so excited when she found out that he eventually was going to get rid of the sweet, nice girl and go for this other crazy girl who she thought would fit in the family even better. In the end, they're not together anymore. The mom was irrationally crying, and it's like, that on the sports radio channel that I listen to locally in Ohio that talks Cleveland sports, they play that audio clip all the time as a joke. And whenever they're devastated by something, they play Peter's mother crying. His mother didn't even grow up with social media, but she's buying into all of it. Clearly posting this picture was part of it. I would have never. Anywho, I'm back to being angry again, people.
Here we go.
Somebody pointed out, I think it was John, the politician. He pointed out that he saw a connection between Peter and Ekin-Su in the castle. We never saw that on television, but apparently there was one. At this point, Andy points out that Parvati has a very specific face that she has on the show, and she claims she never knew that she made that face, that squinted eye face that she always makes. She claims she never knew. Now, I will say that in this after show interview stuff, Parvati came off really nice. She was smiling a lot. She looked happy. She was joking with people. She wasn't taking things personally. She was very likable. I was surprised, but I liked her in this setting as much as I didn't like her on Survivor and not so thrilled with her on the show. In that environment, she was likable. So she was kind of laughing and joking and saying that she didn't know she ever made that face. But come on. I just hate it when they flat out lie to people and make us think that we're a bunch of idiots. Obviously, she makes that face all the time. She knew. And she points out that Ekin-Su mentioned it to her. Do you know that when you're thinking, you squint your eyes and you have a pouty look on your face? And she's like, no, I didn't, but she kept doing it. Yet, that whole squinty eye look, not only did she do it all the time in the castle, so she obviously does it all the time in her real life. It is her survival profile picture. The one I keep showing up here was the picture they put out for promo for Survivor. It's the squinty eye look. Her eyes normally are really big and beautiful. Anywho, so there's that lie that happened. They talked to Deontay for a little bit. This was my favorite part of the reunion. As we know, Deontay left. He was very hurt when he was part of voting out Peppermint. Could not separate the game from real life. Kept saying, was it that he was bullied? I think he was bullied in elementary school, so he felt like it was a gang up mentality against her. And then the next time, I don't remember who it was, they voted somebody else out. He was in agreement with them. It had been Max. I think it was Max. And Max was a friend of his. But people were, talking about it, and he got convinced as well. So he also voted for Max. Max was a faithful. And it just broke him. It broke him down, and he couldn't go on, and he left the show. And in my videos, I talk about it, like, why wasn't there a counselor there? Why wasn't there someone helping him realize we're just playing a game? I don't understand. But it was really interesting in this after show reunion where he said he has demons from his childhood, and this show forced him to face them and to overcome. So he obviously left and then eventually went into counseling and dealt with whatever was causing him to feel that way. Oh, that's amazing. And he said no notoriety, fame, or amount of money is ever going to match what that did for me in my life. I just thought that was amazing. Amazing. I just really liked Deontay. No idea who he was going into this. But now, big fan. Never going to watch one boxing show, but if I know that there's a match between Deontay and somebody else, I will let people know I'm rooting for Deontay. I'm just not going to watch it. No interest in watching anything violent. But I thought it was sweet.
She's being nice.
And he pointed out also that Phaedra was a huge help to him. And he owes a lot to Phaedra. Apparently, he had a lot of conversations with her, and that he was working through this stuff, and that she was there for him. So Shout out to Phaedra. And yay, Deontay. Shout out to you too. That was the highlight of this reunion show by far. It's a shame it was near the beginning. Let's move on. I have here's where Bananas got offended by Dan voting him out first, whatever. Then Peppermint, not another one. Like, we're going to go, what else is happy here? I don't think there is because I see Marcus and Lars's name. I think I ended up just writing notes when I was just really upset. All right, let's get through the Peppermint part. I wrote, Peppermint was so disappointing. I love her so much. I think she's funny. And I wanted to see her go on further in the show. I had no idea who Peppermint was before the show either. Unaware. But I don't watch, as I said. I know it's hugely successful. It's maybe on Bravo. I'm not sure. But the RuPaul's Drag Race is the show that she always is in. And I think that she's quite popular there. I said I loved her, but she actually turned her banishment into a political platform, saying that she was voted off because she was the most different in the group. And I just wrote BS.
I know that somebody has to be the first to go on a show like this, but with no proof, then people have to rely on the biases that they bring into the game, which end up targeting whoever's the most different from the group. And in those situations, people like me don't really fare that well.
The victimhood that's going on in America right now, maybe around the world, I don't know. It had nothing to do with her being in the most different group, is how she put it. And then she goes on to say this reminded her of high school and how she was the only LGBTQ person that was out in the high school. It has nothing to do with your high school. It had nothing to do with your high school. It had nothing to do with bullying. It had nothing to do with your gender preference. It had nothing to do with how you dress. It had nothing to do with anything other than they had to vote somebody out. I just don't like the twisting of the story and turning it into a narrative that's untrue for the purposes of sympathy. Maybe she made it up on the fly after she saw how successful it was for Deontay, who truly left the show because of the trauma he was experiencing from his own personal demons that he worked through, but didn't bring them up on the show. Not a victim, Deontay, no. He struggled, he went, he got help, and he's so happy right now. That's the story. It was such a great feel-good story. And like I said before, I love Deontay now, and I'll never watch a day of boxing, but I love him, and I'm rooting for him. She said she was heartbroken to not continue because most people don't know somebody who's trans, and her time was cut short. Well, we're still not going to know somebody who's trans by you staying in the show the entire time. You just get more airtime and more money. That's all. We don't know trans people anymore. It's not like she was a unicorn that nobody had ever seen. She apparently is quite popular. I know she's on RuPaul Drag Race, maybe many other things too. I don't know. But when the entire cast had to vote and say who is the most popular person here, they voted Peppermint. She has a platform. She didn't need this to be a platform. And for her to imply that people aren't going to know as much about the trans community because she couldn't get to go on. Like, she had the right to continue to go on because she had this platform and agenda she wanted to push. That's not what it's about. It was a game. You win or you lose. Like, her and Bananas, I guess maybe because they went out number 1 and number 2, but man, they are not handling it well. She ended it by saying that people learn how to interact with trans people by watching them on TV. Again, another line of BS that I just couldn't believe. I'm sorry. You don't learn how to interact with somebody who's trans on TV. How different does she want to be treated? What do you mean you have to learn how to interact with them? Does she not want to just be treated like everybody else? You don't learn how to interact with somebody who's a lesbian by watching them on TV. You treat them like every other person in the world, or brown, or anything else by watching them on TV. I don't. It is the dumbest comment. And her justification for why she needed to be on longer and how it was targeting. I think she started it off with the word targeting, I believe.
Which end up targeting whoever's the most different from the group.
Targeting because she was so different. And what makes me angry is that everybody who voted for her, she called out and said, you targeted me. And yet they didn't defend themselves. Nobody but John. John, the politician, is the only one that came up and said, listen, you were the only one that had evidence against you. That's it. So that's why I voted that way. But I think, of course he had to end it with like, but you're great and all that, because obviously she's very fragile and a little delusional. I wrote, you want to be treated different or special? We have to learn how to treat you. Why can't we just treat you like anybody else? What do people need to learn? You are not giving America enough credit. Come to the Midwest, come to the middle of Ohio. You would be completely embraced. My goodness. Parents' weekend at my son's college, we played drag queen bingo. We weren't all shocked and wondering, ooh, how do we talk to her if she comes over to us? Like any other human. I don't understand this. I don't understand this. We are making a mountain out of a molehill, and I was very upset. I was really upset with everybody else who was just nodding and nobody speaking up except for John, because she accused all of them of targeting and voting her out because she's trans, and they just took it. I don't know why more people didn't go, ooh, not me. Like, don't put that label on me. Because then she put that label on everyone that voted for her now, and they were okay with it. That made me the most upset in the show. I should be able to make it. Hopefully it'll get a little bit lighter. I don't know. But even Trishelle, mum's the word, didn't say a thing. And she was the one that led the charge to get Peppermint out. And she didn't say a word about, listen, that's not who I am. That's not the content of my character. Don't judge me like that. Don't accuse me of thinking that when I voted that way. Nothing. Zip. Just because Peppermint said this is what happened doesn't make it true. People need to stand up for themselves.
Wow.
Okay, here's a little bit of levity. Bergie was asked a little bit about his game. And Andy basically said, do you feel like your game changed a little bit after that graveyard? Which we talked about on here, how he was just kind of like, do-do-do-do-do-do-do. And then he came up with a great strategy in the graveyard game and people started following him. So they were like, yes, Bergie. And it was so sweet because he is just sort of do-do-do-do-do-do-do. But that was it. And then he just followed and did whatever Peter wanted him to do. But he says, yes, that in general, he's shy at first, but then his game came out. I wrote, LOL, what game? My game came out, where I'm still going to continue to follow and do whatever Peter says, which is what I was doing before the whole graveyard thing. Whatever, Bergie. Thanks for the laugh. Then Andy tries to pry into the relationship between Larsa and Marcus a little bit, saying, I noticed after the show that you unfollowed each other for a little bit, then you followed each other again, and then there was cryptic stuff, and then you were together for Valentine's Day, but then you were unfollowed. Like it was this whole on again, off again. We're in high school / middle school. I'm going to unfollow you to show that I don't like you, and for everybody else to comment on it then. Can you tell I hate it when these people are starving for attention? Don't like it. I just don't like it. It's just so immature. It's like what my kids were like exactly when they were in like 6th and 7th grade. That's how they acted. But they grew up. Like there's this whole group in America now that are not growing up. I think it's a problem. Oh, I wrote on here, what is she, a teenager? My God, she's 40. In 10 years, she's going to be a senior.
Senior discounts!
She's going to qualify for the Cinemark senior discount. I don't know if it's it. I think actually theirs is more like 55 or 60. I don't know. My daughter used to work at Cinemark. I think she told me it was a higher number. Anyway, there are senior discounts at 50. I don't know what they are, but there are some.
You're not gonna believe this!
You're a senior citizen and you can strut around with that.
Dan was then very complimentary of Phaedra. I wrote, he's smiling a lot. I like this Dan that we're seeing at the reunion. But it was very nice how incredibly complimentary Dan was, because he's known as a gamer and a very good gamer and always winning. And so, you know, he had to explain himself and why he threw Phaedra under the bus. And it makes sense. He's used to just throwing out like a bomb and it working for him. It just didn't work this time. So now he knows going forward, if he's in another one of these games, he's going to have to come up with another strategy that's not just lie low, throw bombs, and have things blow up and still work out for you. Although Phaedra wasn't really fond of that answer. A few of these people are still really holding on to grudges and taking it personally. Lot of hurt feelings. Lot of hurt feelings. I think we could use a good Dr. Phil intervention here to just really talk with everybody in this game and explain to them it was a game. Explain to them that it's not all about them. A lot of this going on. We've got Johnny Bananas. We've got Peppermint. We've got Phaedra in the case with Dan. Wait, there's one more. Who else had really hurt feelings? There's another person who wasn't over it. Shoot, I can't think of it right now. Anyway, we'll go on. Andy at this point asks Phaedra, what was your game plan? In the end, no game plan. She had no game plan. She said, I just kept the people that I liked. And that's why when Kate came, she's like, well, you know, what is the strategy? What's the plan? She's like, I don't know. What do you want to do? It basically was like, I don't know. Who do you like the least? Who should we get rid of? Now that's me as a viewer. If I were doing it, what I'd want to do, because I just don't want to see these people anymore. That's not how you should be if you're the actual traitor. But she got as far as she did by just being likable. The reason why she kept Trishelle as long as she did is because that at one point, Trishelle just had an interesting conversation with her about why she wanted to win this game. So, well, by keeping Trishelle in, you left, Phaedra. Strategy didn't work so well for you. And I can see Trishelle playing Phaedra that way too, to try to get her to keep her around longer. It's just my opinion. I don't know that for a fact, obviously. They never showed the conversation. Then Phaedra went dirty, and all my love for Phaedra that I have had for all this time changed. She called him a low-down son of a beach, but not beach, but I don't mind channel to get a strike on it. She also called him a piece of ship. Again, used a different word, just don't want to get red flagged. And then she added that he's trash. And she was serious. This was so disappointing to me. That was so unnecessary for her to go at him like that, especially after he explained why he did what he did. And later on, he goes, I don't know, I'm going to talk to, after this, to Phaedra. He goes, I don't know if she's like kind of still joking and harboring all these feelings, like if this is part of the joke and that we're going to move on. And she's like, it's not a joke. Yeah, it should be, Phaedra. Get over it. It's just a game. Look at me loving Dan now and not liking Phaedra. And liking Parvati, not liking Peppermint. Like, it's amazing. I mean, I never liked Johnny Bananas, so that's consistent. Never liked Larsa, that's consistent. But some of the changes that are happening as you see their personalities come out and interact and talk to each other on the fly. I mean, that doesn't take away from the fact that Phaedra still has amazing one-liners, and I still would love to see her in other shows. But just her as a person, I'm disappointed. She let me down. Again, it's a different philosophy. Phaedra came in, playing the game, keeping the people that she liked, because she just wanted to have people that she enjoyed around her and be faithful to her friends. Whereas the gamers all came in to play a game and to get to the end. And it seems like some of these people who aren't gamers are not understanding that. I mean, maybe they will in hindsight down the road and realize if I ever play this game again, I need to play it like it's a game. John explains in that conversation. Remember how John had that conversation with Parvati where she was crying, and I was like, oh man, this is it. John's going to keep her in the game. He's not going to get rid of her. And she was like full on tears crying in front of him. John said that she was totally unconvincing. Oh my gosh. He's like, yeah, he didn't believe a word of what she was saying. And she's just laughing, and she's like, really? So I just thought that was great, and I like her reaction to it too, how she just kind of laughed and went, you didn't believe any of it? I was like full on crying. And he's like, yeah, completely unconvincing. Oh my goodness. He asked MJ what her goal was at the end of the game, and she said, to win with the faithfuls. Trishelle said she decided at the end that CT may be a traitor, so she was going to go to the end with MJ, but then changed her mind when it was a stalemate and they had to vote again. MJ just eye rolled. And after she kind of did the eye roll, Trishelle said to her, why are you still so mad at me, MJ? And she pointed out, she goes, you blocked me on Instagram. Again. Oh my gosh. Who cares? Who cares if she blocked you? Why do you care so much? Do you not have like hundreds of thousands of subscribers? And how do you know? How egocentric are you? I know there's software out there where you can put it in and it will tell you. To be that egocentric, that you would download the software that will let you know when somebody's blocking you so that you can make a deal out of it? I don't understand. It is this 13-year-old mentality that people are not getting out of. So she wants to know why she's so upset, but then goes on to say, you blocked me on Instagram. And MJ goes, why wouldn't I? MJ, because you don't care about her. You block her on Instagram. That's so funny. Both of them. Ridiculous. I wrote, there's so little self-esteem in this generation of millennials. They're not even Gen Z. They're too old to be Gen Z. They're like millennials. And yet, no one's growing up. Makes me upset. My oldest daughter's a millennial. She does not act like this. She does not. Not get her feelings hurt if somebody's no longer following her on Instagram. And I guarantee you, she doesn't even know. Y'all could be following me and unsubscribing to me on a YouTube channel. I don't even know. If you unsubscribe, I don't even know. I figured they must have a reason. Just try to live my life, enjoying every day. Life's too short. You just got to enjoy every day and enjoy everyone's presence who you're in. Move on. That's it.
People these days living every minute online.
So obsessed with social media. And this is why none of them seem happy. Of course, if you're watching this video, you probably think I'm not a happy person. I am, though. I really am. They're driving me crazy. Why am I doing these reviews? I am a happy person. They don't seem happy. They seem obsessed with what other people think of them. Okay. I'm old enough to know what life is like without any social media. I think we were all happier people back then. Just saying. I wrote, do you really want to know what people think of you? No. I have 2 YouTube channels. If people put a nasty comment about me below, you know what I do? I delete it and I move on. No harm, no foul. Done. Didn't ruin my day. Why do I read the comments? Because I'm trying to grow the channels. So by commenting back, it helps the algorithm. And because 90% of people are wonderful and nice. And I feel like I'm starting to get to know some of the people who follow my channels based on the number of comments that they leave. But if somebody leaves a nasty comment, moving on. The last thing that I have written here is they were talking about how it's a game. It's not a personal situation. We need to work through this, like just get over it. And basically Janelle said that. The gamers pretty much came from that mentality of this is a game. And Janelle said, listen, us gamers, you move on. You can even get in a big fight over something and then it doesn't work out and you're off the show and somebody backstabs you or double crosses you. Then the game is over and you move on. And she said that's just how we look at it, which I think is more refreshing because that is the truth. It's a game. It's not real life. But then I wrote, well, not all the gamers are that way, because Trishelle pitched a fit every single week. We were so over her, fussing and crying about how she's not going to make it to the next week. She's going to be voted off. She needs to have the shield. But it is a healthier attitude. I'm thinking Janelle doesn't care if somebody stops following her on Instagram, and Dan probably doesn't either. But we know Trishelle does, because she pointed out. She knows MJ's not following her anymore, that she has her blocked. Oh my goodness. This put me in a bad mood. What's wrong with these people? I should watch it again and just make a point to write down everything good that came out of it. Because I just wrote the things that like kind of stand out and make me go, what? So I could get it out here. If you agree with anything I say, write it down below. Make me feel better. Not that I need the social media information. But if you feel the need to write down below, I'm completely off base. I don't know what I'm talking about. What am I doing on a YouTube channel anyway? My gosh, you're too old and too ugly to be doing this. Get off the platform. That's fine too. I'll just delete it and I'll move on. All right, that's it for the Traitors. We are done. The season has ended. I will say I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all of it until the absolute very end. And the next time they do another one, which will be soon, because Alan said we have another one coming soon, probably at least in the fall, if not next spring, but I'll watch it. I'll review it again. I'm hooked. I thought it was fun. And I thought they had enough funny, fun, light people in it to make it interesting. I like a show that'll make me laugh and smile. And this one did. I have started reviewing Seeking Sister Wives. Oh my gosh. You want to talk about crazy. They are crazy.
Crazy, 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 crazy.
Crazy.
The first review is out. It's posted. Just like The Traitors, if you haven't started watching it, I think you'll enjoy it. Whole different thing. It's not a game. It's not a competition. These are real people in their lives, but they're all a half a bubble off. They all are polygamists, but all for different reasons. And it's just kind of nuts. And that's going to be some fun levity to get through. I'm doing Vanderpump Rules too. It's just not that funny. It's kind of boring right now. Not a lot of drama going on, and the drama's kind of sad when it's there. So it's not a levity kind of show. But I think Seeking Sister Wives is going to be one that we can all laugh together about. So I hope you check it out. It's on, what is it on? It's on TLC. Or at least just check out my reviews, because I'll cover it all. You won't have to watch it if you don't have access to it. That's all I have. You take care. This has been fun. Goodbye, faithfuls and traitors. I will see you hopefully at the Seeking Sister Wives reviews. All right, that's all. Take care. Bye-bye.